91 minutes. That's all the time Cristiano Ronaldo had left. One goal, one chance to keep the dream alive. And in the final minute of stoppage time, it slipped away, for the last time. There are moments in sport that don't need commentary. This is one of them. A 41-year-old man walking off a World Cup pitch for the very last time. Not because he lost his hunger, not because he lost his talent, because time, the one opponent nobody beats, finally caught up to Cristiano Ronaldo. 6 World Cups, 2 decades. One man who refused to let his body tell him it was over. He came into this tournament already knowing. He'd told the world himself that this would be his last World Cup, not hiding from it, not running from it, just accepting it, the way only someone who has given absolutely everything to the game can, and now it's done.
Que sea el último mundial, que va a ser mi último mundial, y disfrutar día a día. Ojalá, que no sea mañana mi último partido, ojalá.
Parte Cristiano!
To understand what's ending, you have to understand where it started. A skinny kid from Madeira, an island most of the football world couldn't find on a map. Raised by a single mother in a home with barely enough space for the family, let alone room for a dream this big. He left home as a boy to chase football, and he never once looked back. By the time he was a teenager at Sporting Lisbon, coaches were already whispering that they'd never seen anything like him. Not just the talent, the obsession. The way he stayed after every single training session alone working on things nobody told him to work on. Manchester United came calling when he was still a teenager, and from the moment he stepped onto that pitch at Old Trafford, something was different. The step-overs, the flair, the hunger that looked almost uncomfortable to watch, like he needed the ball more than he needed anything else in the world. Nobody knew it yet, but they were watching the opening pages of one of the greatest stories the sport would ever tell. What came next wasn't just a career, it was a construction project, brick by brick, trophy by trophy, until there was nothing left to prove. A move to Real Madrid that shattered the world transfer record. 9 seasons in Spain that produced numbers nobody thought were possible. Hundreds of goals, 4 Champions League titles, a level of consistency that broke the sport's own math. Some nights he scored hat tricks like it was routine, other nights he pulled off moments that looked physically impossible. Bicycle kicks from angles that shouldn't work, headers that seemed to defy how high a human body should be able to jump, and through it all, one name kept following him everywhere he went: Lionel Messi. 2 men born months apart, chasing the same trophies, the same records, the same title of greatest to ever play the game. For over a decade, their rivalry didn't just define a generation of football, it defined an era of sport itself. Every Ballon d'Or ceremony became a 2-man race. Every big match became a referendum on who was really the best. Ronaldo never stepped back from that pressure. If anything, he seemed to feed off it. But of everything Cristiano Ronaldo ever won, one night stands above almost all the rest. Euro 2016. The final. Portugal against France on French soil, in front of a crowd that wanted nothing more than to see the host nation lift the trophy. Ronaldo went down injured early in the match, in tears, forced off the pitch before halftime. For most players, that would have been the end of their night. Not for him. He spent the rest of the match on the sideline in a jacket, functioning as an extra coach, shouting instructions, rallying teammates, refusing to let his body's failure become his team's failure. Portugal won that night, their first ever major international trophy, and Cristiano Ronaldo, the best player on the planet, unable to even finish the match on his feet, became a champion anyway, through sheer force of will. It remains one of the most emotional nights of his career, proof that greatness isn't only measured in goals. And yet, for all of it, the club trophies, the individual awards, the continental title with his country, there was always one prize that stayed just out of reach: the World Cup. 6 tournaments, 6 chances, 6 times walking away without the one trophy that would have completed the resume of the greatest player of his generation. 2006, as a young star in Germany, reaching the semifinals before falling to France. Tournament after tournament that followed, each one ending the same way. Brilliant moments, unforgettable goals, but never the final step, never the trophy. It's the cruelest irony in modern sports. The most complete player of his era, a man who conquered nearly everything else the game had to offer, chasing the one prize that simply refused to let him in. He carried that weight into 2026 knowing exactly what it meant. At 41 years old in his 6th World Cup, tying the record for the most World Cup appearances by any player in history, he told the world himself, before a ball was even kicked in the knockout rounds, that this would be his last World Cup, not hiding from the truth, not running from it, just accepting it, the way only someone who has given absolutely everything to the game can. And then, it happened. The final whistle of his final World Cup match. No fairy tale ending, no storybook final chapter where the hero lifts the trophy in his last attempt. Just a quiet, devastating walk off the pitch, in a stadium far from home, in front of a crowd that had come to watch history, and instead watched an ending. There was no need for words. His face said everything. 2 decades of chasing this exact trophy, and it ends the same way it always has. Close, not close enough. This is what the end of an era actually looks like. Not a retirement announcement, not a press conference with cameras and prepared statements, just a man in his 40s, walking off a pitch, knowing he will never wear his country's jersey in a World Cup again. So what do you say about a career like this? More international goals than any man in the history of the sport, a European championship with his country, multiple Champions League titles, Ballon d'Ors that fill entire display cases, a rivalry with Lionel Messi that will be studied and debated for as long as football exists. But more than any number, more than any trophy, what Cristiano Ronaldo leaves behind is an entire generation of kids around the world who picked up a football because of him. Kids in Portugal, in Brazil, in Nigeria, in Indonesia, in places that have nothing in common except a jersey with his name on the back. He turned impossible into a personal insult. He turned too old into a challenge he kept answering year after year, tournament after tournament, long after people said his time was over. He built an empire on relentlessness, on refusing to accept good enough. Every summer, every tournament, every single match, he showed up like it was the only chance he'd ever get. That's not talent. That's obsession turned into legacy. No more 6th-minute headers. No more free kicks that silence entire stadiums. No more nights where an entire nation stops what it's doing just to watch him touch the ball one more time. Whatever comes next for Cristiano Ronaldo with club football, retirement, whatever form his story takes from here. The international chapter, the one that began as a teenager in Germany 2 decades ago, has closed. And it closes the way all truly great stories eventually do. Not with regret, not with bitterness over the one trophy that got away. With respect, with gratitude, with the quiet understanding that some legacies were never about the ending at all. Thank you, Cristiano, for every impossible goal, for every night you made an entire generation believe something bigger was possible. This is the end of an era, and we may never see another one quite like it. If this story meant something to you, hit subscribe. We've got more stories like this one coming.